This is Jay Albrecht with Job Cost Incorporated. We're going to be looking at Mobile Resource Manager Field App. This is our tool for technicians in the field to receive work orders, service calls, work tickets, and enter data and instantly update the main office if you're in internet range. First, the system here in the office, you've got a dispatch board with various technicians, including Abe Lincoln as scheduled. In the field, we're going to be using an Android device today. This works on either Apple iOS or Android devices, phones or tablets, iPhones or iPads. So today I'm using a Samsung Android 8-inch tablet. Couple years old, so it's not state of the art, but it does the job. When I first fire up our application, it brings up automatically all the calls assigned to Abe Lincoln. The color coding that you see on the field app is the same color coding they see in the office. So for example, we've got black call is completed, gray call with a line through it canceled. Red call is a call from yesterday, and Abe Lincoln has never completed the work ticket, so it shows up in the office in red and on the field app in red. Green is on site, blue is in the future, yellow is tentative. So this appointment tomorrow at Indian Prairie Public Library is tentative. Now, when Abe Lincoln first got on, Abe sees his current appointments, but you actually have a menu where you can see several different things. The default is My Appointments, but if you're a manager, you can see all appointments. So the appointments in black and white are for other people. You know, most technicians aren't allowed to see other people, but if you're a supervisor manager technician, you can see other people. Also, if you're a salesman, you could go in and get a list, for example, of customers. So even though you don't have appointments for these people, you can go in as a customer list and click on a customer and see more information about that customer. You know, this customer has several locations, and so from a sales perspective. So also on startup, you go into settings. I'll just briefly touch on that. Most people already have that, but you go in and set up a web service. So this is connected to your office. There's 4 boxes that your IT guys will tell you what to fill in there. Then you just need to set up for each user. I've got a login and password. So again, this should be given to you at the office. And then if ever data gets confused on your device for some reason, you can hit reset data and it'll do a master reset. I can go ahead and go in there and it'll wipe out everything on your device and reload it with a current set of information. Now, one thing that's very important, these are real apps that work in the phone or tablet, so they work offline. So if you're in a basement or in a dead zone for cell coverage area, you can still use our app. It is not limited to just an online browser. This works offline. So the technician is never dead in the water. He or she can always use this tool to retrieve information. So now the amount of data retrieved is kind of set by the office. The office can set per technician a lot of settings, including, for example, on Abe Lincoln, we've set up how many days to send in the future. So Abe Lincoln, I'm only sending 2 days in the future, even though I may have him booked for the next 2 months. So by limiting the amount of data that goes to the device, it increases the speed of the syncing. So I'm going to go back to my current appointments, which is what most people And if you just want to look at my today, my yesterday, there's many choices here. But my current appointments is by far the most common setting for what people want to see. Okay. Or actually not my appointments, I actually want my current appointments. It just gives me this week. So the color coding, for some reason, Abe has not finished this appointment for yesterday, not filled it in, but that's allowed. Maybe there's a problem or an issue and he's going to come back to it. So on this appointment this morning, he started at 7:47, and this is the list of resources that are on the appointment. So one appointment can have many resources, a crew of people and equipment and trucks, and where the name of the customer and the name of the problem that we'll be addressing. So now I'm going to go ahead and open up that appointment, and this is the main appointment screen. Has your work order number, date and time schedule. Now for today's demo, I have all the features turned on, but these can be limited by the office. For example, you can allow or can lock down whether the technician in the field is allowed to change the date time. Schedule. Estimated hours, again, that can be filled in and edited or locked down. Resources. That is the list of technicians and subcontractors and equipment that are on this call. So let's say, for example, right now we thought we had a delivery truck and 3 people, but let's say Andrew Jackson didn't show up today, or he was, reassigned to something else. So I'm going to remove him from this appointment. So that's what we call editing a resource, and I can add or remove his. Currently, we clocked in on this job at 7. We were due at 8. We clocked in at 7:47. Now, there's other data fields here that may or may not be filled out by the office. And I'll come back to this when we complete the work order. Similarly, I'm going to go over here. There's page tabs across the top, and I'm going to go to the page tab charges. If anything was entered at the office, either pre-quoted or a guess as to what parts were needed, those can be filled in at the office with or without prices, and then the tech in the field can see those items. Next, service call. So here, this is information about the service call. Again, it can either be locked down or the technician in the field can be allowed to edit it. Also, to streamline the app, any data fields that are not used can be hidden. So you see them in the office, but not in the field. That way, the field app gets streamlined to fit just what applies to the field. Location. Here at this location, we can have, if we've never been there, we could click map, and it's going to show this location. I'm on an Android device, so it uses Google Maps, so it'll map this location. Okay, and then I can do driving directions and all the other, standard mapping type features. If I need to call, if I'm on a phone, I can click call, and it's going to call this location. Or maybe instead of calling the location I want to call the main office, so I can click customer and call the main office or email the main office. Next, if the nature of your business, you're tracking equipment, I can click equipment and get a list of equipment that is at this site. And this is a live list back to the main office. So this site has 2 pieces of equipment, and currently the office has me checked to work on both of them. So now that This list of equipment doesn't need to be perfect. And the tech in the field can be allowed to add new pieces of equipment. So let's go in and do that. So I'm going to click the big plus sign, and I'm going to add a new kind of equipment. So I'm going to add a boiler, and it's made by Carrier, and it's a model. And if I had models in there, it could pull, it's a model 3000. And maybe that's all I know. Or let's say I know the serial number, I could fill it in. Maybe this was installed by others, so we don't have any of the installation information. So in this example, a tech in the field has added a piece of equipment in the master database. Even though I'm not working on the equipment, the technician can add it. So a lot of our clients, the first time a technician goes out to a new site, they do a site inventory of equipment, enter in all the brands and models of equipment that they'll be servicing. Next, maybe we get out there and something's broken and we want to take a photo of the broken, one or more photos of the broken thing. So I'm just going to take use this and take a picture of my PC here. Now, one of the important things, it's not just a photo, but it's a photo that's been saved with the name of the job, Pembroke Greens, and the service call number, followed by a serial number. So it's very easy for the tech in the field. He or she just takes pictures. They don't need to save them. They don't need to email them in. Somebody in the office doesn't need to relabel them, rename them, file them. It's all done automatically. So that photo right now is in 3 places. It's on the phone or tablet, it's in the cloud, and you saw a pop-up. That photo came back to the office. We store all the photos in Dropbox. And then you could store multiple photos. Many of our clients take before and after pictures. Now the next feature I'm going to show you is only currently available on Android due to security limitations. We haven't been able to add it on Apple yet. So here I'm going to click Add a File, and I can have a library of forms that I want to fill out in the field. And they could be Excel forms or PDF forms or something else. But in this case, I'm going to use a PDF form. And now this is just a very simple checklist. And this happens to be an Adobe Acrobat checklist. So I could go down here and check off a few things and say, yes, the customer was present, and excellent, good, poor, whatever, put in some comments, pick a color, it was blue. This form is not really necessarily part of our software. It's just a form that we're accessing from our software. It's an independent form created with Adobe Acrobat. But anyway, I'm done with that form. So just like pictures get uploaded and saved, that form got uploaded and saved. So right alongside that picture, we've got some kind of checklist form that was updated. Now let's say the charges, we're good with this call. We're not going to change anything on this one. That was good. It could have even been pre-invoiced or whatever. So now I'm back to the screen. I'm not done with the call. I've just filled in some information. I'm coming back later. A couple hours later, we come back in, and now we're done with the job. I'm going to press the big red button, Depart, and it time-stamped it to 2:14. Now, some of our clients force the technicians to do it in that manner, but you also have the option where I can go in and override the time. So maybe we really finish this job, let's say at 12:14. So we're actually there 4.45 hours, but for billing, it rounded off to 4.5 hours. Then we can put an unlimited amount of text as to what we did. So I could put in, let's say, and this is what we call shorthand. I'm just touching the word fan, and it put in troubleshoot fan problem. And then I can do something else. replaced cable, and then it put that in, and then I could do voice input or replaced cable, and I could say maybe chewed by animal or whatever. Now there's other data fields that are the tech in the field can update. Lunch hours, travel hours, status is now completed. You could do phase coding. This gets involved in accounting. You could put a code on there. Code 10-12, or instead of a time, that could be 10 a.m. to 12 a.m. or to 12 noon. Mileage. Again, these fields can be relabeled or hidden depending upon your usage. Once I save this, this appointment is now completed. Now maybe the job isn't completed. Maybe we got to come back tomorrow or next week, but I've completed the work for today. So then completed calls go to black. Okay. Now then I'm going to go to the next call. I'm going to punch in 216, and this call just had Abe Lincoln, but maybe Abe needed a special piece of equipment. He needed a Bobcat, and he needed a helper, George Washington. So I'm adding 2 more resources onto the appointment. And again, I save this, so it's saved here, and then it's saved back to server. Now you notice the server updated without me doing anything. It refreshed, and that first call went to black, and that second call went to green. So what this is it's updating, as you're saving something on the Tech Field app, it updates back to the main office if you're an internet connection. If you don't have an internet connection, the data's all saved, and 2 hours later or whenever you get back in internet range, it'll sync up. So now let's go in and put in some parts on this call. So I'm going to click charges. This was something that was pre-quoted in the office, but maybe it turns out they don't really need that part. So I'm going to delete that part. So now I've removed that from the work order, and now I'm going to add a different part. Now here, parts, you can pull them off of a list. I can scan them if you have barcode scanning, or I could do search. So I'm going to do a search in this case, and I'm just going to type in the word power, and it's going to find all parts with the word power in. So I've got 3 parts in my database with the word power, so I'm going to select one of them. So now it filled in the part, quantity, description, amount, and maybe, again, it's defaulted to 1, but maybe I needed 2 of these. And I can edit the description. Part 1, installed on left or something, okay? Part 2 on right. So I've added those to the work order. Now again, in this example, I'm allowed to see prices. I'd say most of our technicians limit it in the field where technicians do not see cost prices or selling prices. Okay, just quantities in the list. Now maybe, again, this call, I need to map it, whatever, I can do that, or I'm going to take one more, I'm going to slide over here, take a photo of this, okay? Now in this case, I already had a photo from earlier, but I could add, add a second photo. So I could, use that photo or take a new photo. So I'm going to, again, take another picture. So we've got a couple of, it wasn't very clear, but okay. So we've got a couple of photos with this call, and then I could add a file. We'll do that checklist again. So it's automatically creating a file. I answer a few questions, whatever. And now that's automatically saved as part of the work order. Now we're all done, so we're going to punch out. And we were only on this call for 4 minutes. But again, I can adjust any of these times. So if I'm allowed to, I could bump this up and make that, let's say we're done at 4:20. So I save that, and that's all part of the call. Now, I want to get some signatures. I want to have the customer sign my screen, and I'm just signing with my finger on the tablet here. And when you do a signature, it locks it down and saves the date time of that signature. I can optionally have the technician sign. So let's say Abe Lincoln's signing here. And then lastly, if the technician's allowed to, they could email a receipt to the customer. Now, this is quite popular with property management companies. They want to be notified that the work is done. So we've got our name, the customer, the location, service requested. We were scheduled for 1. We didn't get there till 2:16. We left our time. These are the charges, and it shows the customer signature, technician signature, and 1 or more pictures. Now, I don't have to send. Maybe I don't want to send that signature, and I don't want to send this picture. So I can have pictures that I want to store that I'm not sharing with the customer. Now, this particular example I had prices on, but I would say most of our clients that email receipts do not include prices. It's not an invoice. It's just a document to tell them that the job is done. Like I said, particularly property managers want to know that, so if the tenant calls, they're updated on the status. And I could just discard this if I don't want this to be sent out. I click discard, and I aborted, didn't send that email. Now, another thing that happens a lot is the technician's out on site and he or she's got questions. They might want a history of what happened out at this location. So if I hit location, I can click history and download a history. This is my demo here. I've got 1 call already in there, but I could go back and then there's no limit. I could go back to 2010 here and download a history of everything that's happened from 2010 through next. And we also look ahead because to see if there's any PMs or anything scheduled in the near future. So I hit go, and it can pull in a history of calls. Now, I don't have any in this example right now. I've already downloaded the 2015 calls. So, same thing. They can see the list of equipment. They can see the location, and go back. And then if they want to add to the equipment, this site only has 1 piece of equipment. And if that's the one I worked on, I can check it off. So by checking it, I'm saying I worked on this piece of equipment on this call. Similarly, over on the charges, when you install a part, if you want, you can specify which machine, which piece of equipment this part was installed in. So I'm putting this power supply in this generator. Because that way you can get a very, very detailed list of everything that was done, not just at the site, but everything that was done to the specific piece of equipment. Now again, since this call is now completed, if we get out, on the main screen that's gone to black. And you see back over in the office it's gone to black. So the two-way live communication from the field to the office is what this system's designed to allow you to do. So at this point, I'm going to open up the system to questions. If anyone has a question, you can be happy to either type it in the chat window, or you should be on. Any questions from anyone? Okay, we have a question here. If we need a customer to sign a previous invoice, could the office put them into add file for them and have them sign when they go back to the job? Yes. What you would have to do is make an appointment for that service call and give it to the technician to go back and sign. You're not limited. By default, I was showing today's work. But if I could go back in here and see all my appointments. So here's an appointment from May 30th or July 4th or let's say November 24th. If that was not locked down, I could go in and get signatures right now. So in order to get it out to the technician has to have an appointment assigned to them. And once they have an appointment, that's the thing that triggers sending the information out to the technician. But when they do sign it, it's going to record today's date and time as the signature. So even though it's an appointment for last week or last month, the actual date and time of the signature is recorded.